Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, everybody. It's Rod with POW Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also, I'm the best MJ community. Today is Monday, June 17th. Hope you're doing awesome and hope you had a great weekend as well. The Oilers won over the weekend and it was an absolute blowout, so that was great to see. We just need three more. But we'll give it another 30 seconds or so for people to jump on, and then we'll get started with today's live stream. Welcome, everybody. Jaro, Jamlosi, welcome. Just sit tight and we'll get started here momentarily. I see we have a ton of people rolling in. We're going to get started here in about 15 seconds. If you can smash a like on your way in, I would appreciate it. And if anybody that you know wants to jump on last minute, you can share the link as well. All right, going to get started with the live stream. We're going to do a market update and then we'll jump into any ticker requests. So if anybody is joining from the POW Group private community, you can just let me know inside of Slack and I will get to those first. Otherwise, we'll save it for the end. And if anybody else on the live stream here on the public YouTube, if you have any ticker requests, just let me know the exchange as well, because sometimes we have some overlap, but I would appreciate it. I do hope everyone's having a fantastic day today and hope you had a great weekend. Before we get started, make sure to smash the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos if you tick the little bell or live streams as well. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. You should never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. I'm not a financial advisor. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So we did have some movement over the night with XRP. There's been some news I posted over on X as well. The SEC crypto enforcement quits. So David Hirsch, I think his name is, who led the SEC's crypto asset and cyber unit and then division of enforcement, has left. And then it says Ripple versus SEC ending soon, ? So I do think that we're going to see a resolution in this case at some point soon. There was some news out from Stuart Alderoty, the lead general counsel at Ripple, saying that the SEC's absurd $2 billion fine has been basically cut down to about little north of 100 million. So a little bit more realistic now. And there could be a settlement. So there could be a settlement for even like $50 million, right? I was always in the camp of thinking it was going to be a settlement, and it's looking more and more like that's going to happen by the day. And if they don't settle, I don't even think the SEC will win anything. I don't think they'll get anything. I think the judge will be like, hey, listen, you can't get any disgorgement. There was no harm here. So nobody actually was harmed. There was no instance of fraud or anything like that. So I think if they let the Judge Torres rule, I think she's just going to basically say no fine because there was no financial harm done, right? Basically, the SEC's argument is that the people who bought, the institutional investors who bought, could have got a better price. Well, that's not how things work. It's usually when people are harmed and they lose money, they fine them and then they take that money and they give it back to the people that lost money. So think of Terraform Labs, right? They take that money, those that got, sucked into the Ponzi scheme, they committed fraud, then they take that disgorgement money and they give it back to the people who were harmed, right? But in this instance, there was no financial harm, right, or wrongdoing. So at this point, I think a settlement is the most likely, and it really could come any day. So I personally I bought a little bit more XRP on that dip to, what was it, like 46 cents. So I did buy a little bit. I think I filled around 47 cents, so I did buy a little bit more. But my bags are pretty much packed. But again, I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but we do have the potential of an Ethereum ETF going live as well at some point soon. It's rumored that it could be the first week of July. So we'll see. July 1st, Canada Day coming up, and July 4th, Independence Day coming up as well. So we'll see if we have a explosive beginning of July. But just taking a look at this chart here on the Bitcoin chart, which we have to follow Bitcoin because it's the granddaddy of them all, right? It basically leads the market. And it's saying this ascending triangle that's forming right here, you can see just a horizontal line of resistance, just hovering around the all-time high. It's a monthly bull flag looking to confirm as well, which we'll show here in a moment, which the S&P 500 already confirmed a monthly bull flag, so did NVDA. So that's a great sign. But you can see here, it's just rejection, a horizontal line of resistance, and then we have this sloping support line as well, which gives you that ascending triangle. And more often than not, they usually break to the upside. As of right now, we're targeting on this ascending triangle. If we break above the all-time high at 73,757, then it's confirmed. And realistically, this could happen between now and middle of July. So like I said, it's very possible that the Ethereum ETFs go live, spot ETFs go live in the US in the first or second week of July, and that lines up with this ascending triangle timeline as well. And then the measured move for that is about $87,000 on Bitcoin. Now for the exciting part, the monthly bull flag. So you can see here we had our low, high, higher low. We held the 0.32 fib there to perfection. And now we just need to confirm the higher high and confirm that monthly bull flag by breaking all-time highs. And then, like I said, you take your measured move, you go from the low to the high, and you move it out to your 0.32 fib. And that gives you your measured move, and it says we are targeting about $164,000 on Bitcoin. So it's looking good. We're seeing more and more confluence, more and more signals, charts, patterns, indicators saying that we could see more upside from here. But we are in a daily downtrend here at the moment on Bitcoin. Bulls could change the trend here with a higher low and higher high. So we had key support there at 65,026, and we had 65,093. So essentially a double bottom there. And let's see if bulls can recover from here. But as of right now, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Also, the FOMC, the Feds didn't cut interest rates. So I think we've got some runway. I think there's a slight chance that they cut rates in July. I'd put it probably at like a 5 to 10% chance, but I would say it's probably like a 70 to 80% chance that they cut in September. And they said that they're probably only going to do one rate cut now this year. And generally, after a rate cut, that is not a good sign. Also, there's a bunch of bipartisan support now to ban Congress from owning stocks or crypto, any kind of things like that, right? But, everybody's saying, well, they talked about that for years. And why is it different this time? Well, this time we actually have bipartisan support, and the Federal Reserve banned themselves from owning stocks in 2021 at the peak there, at the all-time highs. Of course, they didn't do it at all-time lows or when we were at 52-week lows. They waited to time the market, right? Because they're market manipulators. But they'll do the same thing with Congress, in my opinion. I think some point between now and the end of the year, maybe some point in early 2025, we'll see Congress being banned from owning stocks. A monkey could tell you that they shouldn't be buying stocks or crypto, right? They have insider information up the wazoo. And if you or I did that, we'd be in jail for the rest of our lives, right? So they have way too much insider information. Like I said, anybody with half a brain could tell you that shouldn't be allowed. So we'll take a look at the S&P 500 again before we jump into any ticker requests. So I'll just show you here on the S&P 500 what we're looking for Bitcoin to do. So we have our low, high, higher low, and then we were looking for the high there at 524.61 to break to confirm the monthly bull flag. So basically Bitcoin is right here, and we need to break this and be right here. So if we break the previous all-time high there, like I said, just under 74,000, that'll give us that same kind of chart layout and pattern that we're seeing here on the S&P 500. And the S&P 500's monthly bull flag is targeting 620. So we're running out of runway here. We're now, from that monthly bull flag target, we're now less than 13% away, which is basically, what the S&P 500's annual rate of return is on average. And realistically, it's crazy to think about how much upside we've seen from the lows of March 2020, right? If we just zoom out here, and I'll get rid of all these lines so it's not super difficult to see, but yeah, from the low to the high now, we are up 168% on the S&P 500. Generally, like I said, somewhere around that 12 to 15% mark on average per year, and we've gotten basically 170% in 51 months. So when this train stops, it's not going to be pretty whenever we start to correct. And like I said, I took the dot-com fractal from back in 2000 when the dot-com bust happened. We were following it to a T, but then I said I expect us to deviate because of how manipulated the market is this time. They started printing trillions and trillions of dollars, right? We didn't have that before. This is a different dynamic. And I expected us to deviate and go back to potential new all-time highs. Same thing with Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin started to go that way, we had all of the signals in the world, right? And ultimately, I think we will come back to where this fractal says we could have potentially gone after we get through this market manipulation and this artificial propping of the market and trillions of dollars printing. Even the Federal Reserve and the FOMC statement said that they're cutting their securities. I think it was like by like, I forget the number. It was in the billions. I think it was like 20 billion or something like that. But essentially, they're unloading their securities. And once you ban Congress, once you ban the Federal Reserves, right? The Federal Reserves banned themselves right up here in 2021 before the big market crash. And now we're at new all-time highs. And I think Congress is going to ban themselves because they're even more greedy than the Federal Reserve. And then Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, and Nancy Pelosi is worth, $300 million gross. She's what gets like 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, and she's worth 300 million. Come on, give me a break. Elizabeth Warren hasn't passed a bill. I think, is it one bill or none? I can't remember, but either way, both really terrible results. And she's worth like $30 million or something, or I forget. It's something crazy, like 50 million or $80 million or something like that. But at the end of the day, we're probably going to see Congress being banned from owning stocks, and then there's going to be no reason to keep it up, right? They'll just create a massive market flush. And again, if you haven't seen my video, how I'm preparing for one of the worst market crashes in history, check out that YouTube video. But yeah, once it starts to crash and go into a bear market for more than likely multiple years, you're going to see all these, Congress people probably start shell companies. How do I invest in the stock market without using my own name, right? They'll probably like create a company, a shell company, and then start buying the lows, right? Like, because they're a bunch of crooks, right? Gotta be careful with what I say sometimes. I get a little carried away, but if we ever get censored on here, you can follow us over on X. The handle for that is @GroupPow. We also post our content on Rumble and Odyssey as well. All right, so looking good here. I mentioned in the POW Group bi-weekly newsletter as well for those that are subscribed to that. If you're not, you can go to powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com. Both will take you there. And I mentioned in the last newsletter, I send it out on the 1st and the 15th of every month. So I sent it out a couple days ago that we had the highest weekly candle close ever on the S&P 500 last week, which was 2 weeks in a row. And I expected more upside. And here we are today hitting a new all-time high. So new all-time high of 548.53, closing in on 550. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a pretty hefty pullback at some point soon. We're starting to really escape here from our weekly support there at 518. So if we came back tested EMA 12, wouldn't be surprised if we pulled back 4 or 5%. It would just be super healthy. And yeah, like I said, expecting that monthly bull flag of 620 to get met. I think there's a very good chance of that happening. And the more that they push rates out, the more runway we have in this bull market, in my opinion. So gold and silver, head and shoulder there on gold, that's potentially forming. So we're going to be watching that. If confirmed, target is 2100. Silver is actually extremely strong. It was a monthly bull flag, and we're in a weekly bull flag and a very strong weekly uptrend. So silver's looking to outperform here, and I got a target of about $36. DXY starting to break down here. On the monthly time frame, I mentioned that we were just looking for a monthly lower high compared to 107.34, and that's pretty much what's happening now. We're starting monthly consolidation, and more than likely going to see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, and we're probably going to be heading down to around that $93 area, maybe even sub 90, and then that, like I said, will be very beneficial for stocks and crypto leading into the end of the year here. Jumping into some individual tickers on the day today, and one name that I wanted to take a look at was Tesla. GME got absolutely wrecked today too. The shareholder meeting. Look at the size of that candle from last month, right? Total inside bar is the most likely scenario, but yeah, Rowan Kitty converted his options into shares. I think 9 million shares, fourth largest shareholder in the company. Don't count them out, though. I think that could make a roaring comeback, no pun intended. Tesla's starting to show some signs of life here, breaking the high of last month, so monthly bounce underway. We don't really have any resistance all the way up to 265, so this could be a nice play here if you're looking for a swing opportunity. Your clear stop level would be below 167, so you could do 159, 149, whatever you're comfortable with risking. And obviously, if you're using a bigger size trade position, then you're probably gonna use a tighter stop. But what I would probably do if it were me, I'd probably set my stop at around 158, 157. And then essentially you would be risking 15% or so to make 40%. So not a bad risk to reward, or you can set your stop just below 167. So you could do like 164, and essentially from where we are now, then you'd be risking about 10% to make 40%. So great risk to reward opportunity there, I think, on Tesla. And who knows, we might not even stop at 265. We could easily go back up to that $300 mark. So something to be keeping an eye on right now on Tesla because it has been dormant. NVDA continues to bust new all-time highs, monthly bull flag target as well. And we're targeting, it was 1800, I think, before. Let me just see here. I'm going to have to draw that again. You can see it on the fly. So yeah, it was right here. We'll zoom in. Yeah, so it was a very brief higher low there. It's not as clear here on now that they did the post split. Or was I looking? No, it was here. My bad. Now that I zoom in, so it was here to here. And then you take your trend line. And then you move it out. And that was a perfect monthly bull flag and hold of the 0.382 fib as well. So yeah, we're targeting about 196. So just under $200. And I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. What are we at anyway? 3.22 trillion market cap. Apple's leading the way. I think Microsoft was right there neck and neck today. But yeah, Apple on the day today closed 3.32 trillion market cap. So who will be the first to four? And Microsoft 3.33, so just past it. So basically it's a it's a race every single day. Pass the baton, so to speak. One just continues to run, the other one goes. But yeah, who would have thought NVDA would be sitting at 3.22 trillion testing Apple and Microsoft. What's Amazon at these days? 1.92 trillion. Wow, crazy. That should start to go the other way soon, I would think. All right, so we'll take a look at some MJ names. We'll take a look at the Canadian MJ. Again, just been super dead and not expecting much activity leading into until the end of July after the comment period, and then beginning of August, maybe toward the end of August, we should really start to see things ramp up. I also just posted a video on MSOS. Bear flag target was reached. Now what? So we'll do a quick analysis on it, but I don't want to do too much because I just did a 10-minute video or so all on MSOS. But in terms of Canadian MJ, we had XTRX, huge, and PCLO leading the decline today. VFF as well. I posted on X earlier today that it's back under $1. This is 2 days in a row now. So the counter has started. So 30 days, consecutive trading days under $1, then they'll be getting a warning from the NASDAQ, and it increases the odds of a reverse split. So now we're 2 days, so essentially 28 more days, and they get a warning. But then they would get 180 days to basically 6 months to regain compliance. But even if they did have to do a reverse split, wouldn't be the end of the world. I did add some VFF and Oxley today as well. Oxley, I mentioned we were looking for a monthly higher low, somewhere around that 3 cent area to 2 cent area. And yeah, we're just hovering right around that 3 cents. Could dip into the twos, like I said, and I might look to add one more time. But pretty content with the, if Oxley goes back to $1 or $2, like that's life-changing wealth. We're talking about 6 figures for a relatively small investment. You invest 4 figures into Oxley at around a penny, it goes back to $1, $2, you're looking at 6 figures. Like I said, not telling you to buy, sell, hold, or anything like that. I'm just saying what I'm doing. And for me, if I can put $1,000 into a name like Oxley and it goes back to, $1 or $2 and it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, well, I'd easily put 4 figures in and kiss it goodbye. Worst case scenario, I lose $1,000, a couple $1,000, and yeah, the sky's the limit. Could easily rake in 100, 200 grand. But there's also a chance that they don't pull it around, or get acquired, and we don't see those all-time highs. But definitely worth the risk and worth betting on a company like Oxley, in my opinion. WIB and MJ. Whoops, not sure what happened there. On the bull list, we had WIB, MJ, and IMCC. USMJ. So we had LOWL, IAN, and MRMD leading the decline. MedMen delisted. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with their assets. I'm still thinking Tilray should be the front runner after that 250 million ATM as well, looking to buy U.S. assets and international assets. BEV, BAM, and VRNOF leading the bull list today. And then yeah, Indiva went under. Another one bites the dust. They were behind the No Future gummies, so some irony there. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Companies continue to drop like flies, but the producers in Canada that weather the storm will end up probably being one of the biggest companies in the globe, right? In terms of producers. Same thing in the U.S. Companies, there's going to be a lot of competition in the U.S., especially now that Canopy's coming for acreage, and we're going to have, they learned a lot of lessons, these LPs, during the rollout in Canada. It's almost 6 years now that it's been legal at the federal level, so they got a big head start operating in a legal framework. So pretty soon, Canopy's going to acquire acreage, probably in the beginning or halfway through 2025, and then all these MSOs are going to get a run for their money because they're going to have competition from the LPs. Tilray's looking to buy U.S. assets. OGI is expanding into the U.S. You got SNDL with Sunstream. You think the competition's bad here in Canada? Wait until 280E goes away. There's no big barrier of entry for companies in the U.S. to start a business, because a lot of people in the U.S. are probably looking to start an MJ business, or a dispensary or whatever, get into retail, but they just don't want to pay that stupid 280E tax, right? So now, that goes away, then that barrier of entry, the only thing at that point would be, can they get a license? It's going to be very difficult to get limited licenses. If you want to buy a license or a company, you're going to pay a big premium because of 280E going away, et cetera, right? Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much, Darrow. Same to you. We got CK in the house. Tilray, and what's your target? Yeah, we'll take a look at Tilray here. Actually, I forgot to take a look. Oh, all good. Okay. Yeah, so I'll hang around for a little bit. What are we at? 21 minutes? Cool. Yeah, so Tilray is a daily bear flag target. So again, if you're only looking at Tilray, you're missing the picture, right? So yeah, good thing I remember this too, because I wanted to bring this up. MSOS was a bear flag as well, targeting 686, and we hit 688 today. So we basically hit that. The only thing that it's a really bearish chart though, but the only thing that's good here in terms of bullish setups is the fact that the daily oversold was reached in RSI, and we're starting the daily bounce. We'll see if we can continue it into tomorrow and the rest of the week, and then potentially form a head and then a potential right shoulder in an IHS, which is an inverted head and shoulders reversal, bullish reversal pattern, where we could potentially see a move up to around 975, which is the measured move of this inverse head and shoulders. But again, check out my MSOS video that I just posted for an in-depth analysis. But again, bear flag, there was tons of bear flags across the sector. So if MSOS tracks all the major names in the US and Tilray is the number one in Canada and the leader there, well, you want to be looking at MSOS even if you don't hold it, right? Let's say you only own Tilray and you're diehard Tilray to the end, Tilray or bust, nothing else but Tilray. But if you weren't looking at MSOS, you would say, okay, well, you're missing the bigger picture, right? Because we were expecting a lot of downside, and the sector moves together, not down to the second, the day, the minute, but overall it moves fairly similarly, right? And similar pattern here on Tilray. It was a daily bear flag, very weak bounce, didn't even get above the 0.236, and anything under 195, the 0.32 was a daily bear flag. And here we are, very close to that target. We're now about 7.5% away. So that target is 155. Some people were asking me about timeline. There is no real timeline. Like, it could happen in a day, could happen in a week, could be 4 weeks, could be a couple months, right? Could just go sideways, but ultimately we should get there, right? And timing is irrelevant unless you're, buying options or something like that. If you're buying puts, well, yeah, very relevant. That's why I don't really like options and things like that. There's ways to do it, and covered calls, or you can do the wheel strategy, and basically you sell calls or sell puts. You try to collect the premium, right? You try to get money for nothing, essentially, is what it is, and then you just rinse, repeat, and then worst case scenario, you end up owning the shares, and then by then hopefully you should turn around, right? So you want to be very careful with options, because the hardest thing in the world, and it's frankly impossible in my opinion, is to predict time and where things are going to go. It's difficult enough predicting the price and where the direction of where we're going to go, right? Up, down, or sideways. There's only one of three, and then we have to just take a look at all these indicators and confluence and technical patterns, indicators, signals, and figure out what the most likely scenario is. But the great thing I like about buying shares and technical analysis is it doesn't matter. You don't have to be right on the timing, like I said, unless you're using the stock market casino, which is options, in my opinion. And like I said, just you can lose it all. So I'm not interested in that. There's enough. You're talking about crypto and MJ here, right? The two most volatile sectors on the planet. So why do you need to incorporate the risk of total loss in there when there's already a risk of total loss with hundreds and thousands of companies? It's difficult enough picking the winners that are going to be here in 5, 10 plus years from now. So just be cautious on that. But yeah, 155 is looking like we're more than likely going to get there, and we're not set up well at all, right? SPY's at new all-time highs. It's busting. If SPY were to pull back, 4 or 5%, like I mentioned earlier, for a healthy weekly high or low and a back test of weekly EMA 12, well, that would probably mean, what's the rule of thumb I always say? If SPY pulls back 1%, expect 2 to 3 times as much on an individual name, especially MJ. It could even be more than that. So if SPY pulls back 4%, we should expect probably somewhere around a 10 to 15% pullback for Tilray. And if we pull back from here to current levels after hours sitting in at 170. So from here to there is about 8% away. So we could easily see that. And then I was also looking at a pattern here on Tilray. So this is a pretty cool pattern that was forming as well. As you can see here, symmetrical continuation triangle bearish. And if we just bring this up here, it's saying somewhere around that $1.25 area. I'm not really in that camp, but it's possible. You have to be ready for everything, right, at this point. And, the only thing good about Tilray is it has never done a reverse split, and we're at 169. So chances of a reverse split coming are pretty much slim to none, in my opinion, because they would have to trade under $1 for 30 days, and then they would get a 180-day extension or, grace period essentially before having to do a reverse split. They'd probably get an extension if they wanted it. And there's so many bullish catalysts on the horizon, right? There's rescheduling, there's Florida, there's Pennsylvania, Ohio, there's Germany looking to fast track Pillar 2. It has number 1 market share in Canada and in Germany. What else? You got potential for banking at the end of the year or in early 2025, and then uplisting to the NASDAQ. So there's so many things to look forward to here. And I don't think that that's anything to worry about. But I would say somewhere around that 155 to 145 might be the bottom. But yeah, in terms of the weekly time frame, like I said, the warning signs were there. We had a stochastic bear cross. We had the MACD cross bearish. We lost the 10-week moving average. And again, looks very similar to MSOS. Same thing. Lost the 10-week, stochastic, MACD bear cross. In terms of the weekly, we're below all of the weekly moving averages. So like I said, it's pretty bleak at the moment. The only glimmer of hope really is that we were just about to see another golden cross here on the daily time frame. And I would say that Tilray is probably going to bottom out on news. I would say we're probably going to get some sort of news over the coming weeks and months about its U.S. plan, right? We know Canopy has Canopy USA and the exchangeable shares. They already acquired Jetty. They're, I think, 2/3 done of Wana. And then they're probably going to get acreage at some point in 2025. And you got SNDL with Sunstream, OGI with its Jupiter in the U.S. And then, there's going to be a lot of reasons for Tilray to want to do that. So we should see some news on that here soon. Hopefully that helps. But in terms of resistance, nothing until 182, and then 188, and then really nothing until 223 after that. We also have the 50 weekly there, 205, and the 50-day moving average at 189. So a lot of resistance in that $2 area, but as of right now, we're still holding the chance here for a monthly uptrend to confirm. We have our low. It's just basically an equilibrium here, and sideways action. Low, high, higher, low, lower, high, higher, low. Bit of a bear break, bit of a bull break, back into this pattern, right? So you can see here we're just stuck in that range right there. So we'll see. I think we could see one more final potential flush and scare tactic and bear trap in capitulation before we see the massive move. So don't be shocked if we do drop to 155. You heard it here first. But won't be worried about it at all. So yeah, price target on the downside would be 155 to 145 USD, and then on the upside, I'd say $4 to $5 here at some point before the end of the year. I would think is very possible. If you're talking like long term, that's a different story, but that's sort of what I'm looking at. Hopefully that helps, CK. I would greatly appreciate your thoughts on what Tilray plans to do with the growing share count almost to the limit. Is a reverse split inevitable, or do you believe a share buyback is possible in the future? Says Easy Boy. Okay, well, I basically just preemptively answered your question. So just going through my regular train of thought. So hopefully that answered your question. But buyback, it's possible. I mean, we had insiders load up, right? CEO, CFO. There was a bunch of insiders. I think Denise Altachek as well. Added some, and that was somewhere around 189, I think. So somewhere around that 180 to 190 is where insiders loaded up. So I think it's looking good. Can't really comment on a buyback. I think it's a little early for that, but we'll see. We got Jatinder in the house. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Rod. Thank you, brother. Would you please take a look at Internet Computer Price ICP coin, please? Is it a good time to add for the first time? Sure, we can take a look at that. ICP USD. So we've got Internet Computer monthly consolidation underway, and we have now pulled back roughly 60% from the high there. So not a bad time to enter. Definitely when you're down, 60, 70% from a local high, might not be a bad time to start entering, but you got to be very careful though. At the same time, you can't just use that as a gauge. You have to say, okay, well, how much did we run before that, right? And if you look at how much we ran, we were up almost 650%. So if you run 650, 60% pullback, it might go down like 75 or 80, right? So if we went down 75 or 80, that'd put us somewhere around that $5 area, $5-6, low fives potentially. So, and then also we didn't really confirm a monthly uptrend, and we had a very brief higher low there, so it wasn't very much support. And then sure enough, we broke to a higher high, but because we didn't show that strong support and, bull continuation and bulls gaining keeping the momentum, it was a very brief run into a higher high, and then we came down and lost it. And then from that previous support on the monthly time frame down another 20%. So that's generally not a great sign. And it was also quite a ways away before we saw those EMAs on the monthly cross bullish as well, which would be the first time in history on this Coinbase chart. But yeah, if we just draw our fib tool here from the low to the high there as well. Oh yeah, we were looking at an inverse head and shoulders as well. But then we had that final shakeout. So it's kind of like what I mentioned just on Tilray, right? You have that time frame, or sorry, you don't know what the time frame is, but you have the target. And then you see that one more final capitulation. So I think Tilray is like here, and we could see that one final shakeout before a massive move. And then let's take our measured move there. Whoops. Let's take our measured move from this inverse head and shoulders. And let's see where it was saying. It was saying $26, and we hit 21. So again, time is irrelevant. It was saying we're probably going to get there. We had one more final shakeout flush before the big breakout and bust. And sure enough, we had that basically that inverse head and shoulders that played out. But if we take a look at our fib retracement here, low to the high, we could see the 0.786. So essentially we're in the golden pocket right now, which is right here. So this is generally a good area to add. But again, you got to look at what just happened. If we only ran 200% and then pulled back 60%, you might be like, okay, well, now's like a good time as any to add. But if you ran 650% in a few months, half a year essentially, 60% might not be that much of a, well, it's definitely a sizable pullback, but not, you might be able to expect more. And then, like I said, 75, 80%, well, if we go down to 0.786, that's about a 70% correction. So I think that 0.786 there at around 660 should be a decent area, but somewhere around that mid $6 to $7, I think would be a decent time, but not a bad idea to start scaling in. I don't really know your situation, but if you don't, let's say you hold like a ton of this stuff, maybe you want to be a little bit more patient, but if you don't have a whole lot right now and you're looking to add, well, maybe you could start to scale in, right? You could add a little bit now, add a little bit around $7, or you could add a little bit now, a little around 8, a little around 750, 650, right? So hopefully that helps, but yeah, ICP USD. Yeah, they don't have anything on stock charts for that one yet. A lot of those newer coins don't have them on there. So yeah, I just be cautious on this one. Weekly time frame, downtrend, lower high and lower low. Could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross as well. So again, 8 or 9, 10 different charts, chart patterns, signals, indicators that I follow. So now I'm just going through the motions, right? I can't do it all on stock charts like I did with Tilray because it's not on there, and it would take me too long to go and like put everything in. But yeah, just an effort of time, just going through the motions. Not yet weekly oversold, so we could be heading there, right? We're not there yet. If we were weekly oversold, I'd be a little bit more inclined to thinking that we could see a reversal soon, but still not yet there. And we haven't been weekly oversold really since all the way back in 2022. So EMA 12 and 26 bear cross yet to play out. So again, that's another bearish signal and a weekly downtrend as well. And it's actually a weekly bear flag. So like I'm already showing a ton of reasons why this thing's bearish, right? So why would you want to be bullish? Like you might be bullish long term, but there's no reason to be bullish right now. Like we should expect more downside. So the weekly bear flag did confirm, and we're targeting about 797, and look how close we came, 851. And then again, what did I say? Low sevens, maybe high sixes would be a bottom. Well, the weekly bear flag is saying 797, pretty much exactly where I was thinking. And we're not yet weekly oversold yet. So this is why technical analysis works, not just looking at one indicator. You don't just put RSI in your chart and then, okay, buy here, sell there. Well, actually, technically, if you did do that and looked at the monthly chart, sometimes it's not as clear on the monthly because there's not enough trading history, but even the weekly, yeah, like essentially, if you just did that, just like buy only here and sell only here, you'd do so much better. Whoops. You'd do so much better than like 95% of traders out there, right? Like let's say you bought down here when we were oversold and then sold when we were overbought, you'd be up 400%, right? And then you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to look at like, what the media is saying or anything like that. But that's the hardest thing too, is just like trying to phase out. And then here's another thing. So here's another bearish pattern. There's a daily bear flag as well. So yeah, I gave you like 8 or 9 reasons why this thing's bearish, right? So you should definitely expect more downside, but then a pretty sizable move after that. So yeah, daily bear flag segment, we're targeting about 778. So tons of daily downtrend as well. So yeah, we're pretty bearish at the moment. But like I said, somewhere around that $6 potentially should be a nice bottom. Hopefully that helps. I started position VFF at 97 cents. Hope that's a good level, Jamlosi. Yeah, absolutely. I bought some today at the same price. I think I filled around 98 cents, 99 cents. Can't go wrong at all. The Dollarama. Hi, everyone. Hello. CS. We got Haste in the house, Aurora, Tilray, and Entourage Health. Don't forget Euronav for a good dividend. Oh, I've never heard of them. Yeah, we can take a quick peek at Aurora. So ACB, they have earnings coming up on Thursday, so that'll be something to watch for. I'm not expecting them to really move the sector or anything like that, but if we take a look at the monthly time frame, monthly consolidation underway, similar to CGC, which we knew was the most likely scenario because we didn't confirm a monthly uptrend. In fact, we're still in a monthly downtrend as long as we didn't break 1150. That was just a monthly lower high, and we're still in a downtrend. Same thing with CGC. As long as we didn't break 1920, it was just a lower high, and we're still in a downtrend. A lot of names in monthly uptrends, like High Tide, SNDL, VFF, Cron, they were all in monthly uptrends. MSOS was, but it lost it today, so we'll see if it can just be a bear trap and start to recover, but just posted a video on that, so again, you can check that out. But yeah, ACB, monthly consolidation, I would expect a higher low somewhere around that 0.618 in the golden pocket, like again, like I just mentioned with ICP, maybe somewhere around that between $5 and $4. But earnings coming up, yeah, they're still forecasting a pretty big loss in terms of EPS, and then estimate about 51 million US. They report in Canadian, but I'm just on the NASDAQ because I chart the higher volume ones. So, but yeah, hopefully that helps. Tilray, I already went over that. Entourage Health. Oh man, it's been a while since I looked at this. Oh yeah, monthly low. We're at 1 penny. I think this is the one. Yeah, I'd be careful on this one. Yeah, very illiquid, like, yeah, there's barely any volume. Pass. Yeah, not looking good. I'd be careful with that one. But yeah, dividends, can't go wrong. Getting a dividend. Personally, I'm not really here for dividends. I'm not really here for small taco gains. I'm here for life-changing wealth, but I understand, people who want to collect a dividend and whatnot, but, I'm here for like 100x, 1000x gains, right? I'm not here to play around in a sandbox or I'm here with the splishy splashy whales. I'm trying to to make generational wealth here. I'm not too concerned about a dividend, but yeah, if it offers a dividend, I think MJ companies are going to be very high cash flowing businesses in the future, and they're going to be giving dividends galore, right? Cureleaf, Boris Jordan, the executive chairman and co-founder, said that if it weren't for 280E tax code alone, they'd probably be paying a dividend already to investors. So let that sink in for a second. Most people think we're like, decades out before we see dividends from MJ stocks. Well, if 280E wasn't even around, Cureleaf would probably already be paying one. So, and it's not too far ahead, maybe 6-12 months before 280E goes away. And then who knows, maybe in the next couple of years, we could see a dividend coming from Cureleaf and then other companies as well. Green Thumb looking to buy Boston Beer potentially, and Sam Adams. So we got a lot of companies starting to look like Tilray. Like look at Cureleaf. It's big in Germany, Portugal. International just bought a Canadian operator, Northern Green Canada. So looking very much like Tilray. And then Green Thumb, the other leader in the space, trying to buy a beer company, Boston Beer. And what does Tilray do? They bought Sweetwater Brewing. They have Breckenridge. They're a manufacturer of the same type of thing, right? They were also partnered with Molson Coors before they bought out 100% stake in Truss, the number one beverage brand here in Canada. They're number one in Canada and number one in Germany. So to me, it seems like everybody wants to be like Tilray. Hopefully that helps. Claudio, hi Rod, hello, hello. Your opinion on LSPD? Yeah, we can take a look at that. LSPD. Not to be confused with LAPD. All right, let's take a peek here. My phone's going crazy at the moment. Never a dull moment in the world of Rod. LSPD, so light speed. So we've got, kind of looks like an MJ stock really, but yeah, we're just looking for a higher low here on the monthly time frame. It was a nice entry here, adding at 1223. We had 1245, 1223, 1246. So basically a triple bottom there. You could have entered with a stop below $12. And even now you'd be up almost 30%. But yeah, this thing, or even here on this double bottom, we did break it slightly. But yeah, that's why I recommend wiggle room, right? 1245, you could have entered, say, maybe put your stop at like 1189 or something like that. We hit 1223. And actually, it was a double bottom there again on that month. So it was 1223, 1224. So you could have entered with a stop below 1223, and you would have saw a move of about 70%. But we're gearing up for the first ever monthly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, but it's probably going to be a few months before it happens because of how far away they are. But yeah, maybe toward the end of the year, we could see this thing start to really gain some momentum. But that would be one way to swing it as well, literally. And you asked Claudio where Tilray is headed, so I just answered all that, I think. So hopefully that puts that to bed. We've got Cap in the house. You think MJ will move with altcoins? We might have a pullback on ETH or BTC. Alt season is going to happen with a massive bull run. Yeah, so I think MJ might see a move up into the end of the year with the rest of the broader market euphoria. Generally, when we're in that final euphoric phase, everything rises. Like we're going to be looking at the Russell 2000 as well. Some of those smaller caps. Because right now, basically, the S&P, it's like all the Magnificent Seven, and there's like a few companies that are basically accounting for like 30% of the S&P. So if 70% of the companies aren't really doing anything, we need those to come along, and then MJ will probably be one of them. But what I would expect is there'd be a big run up in MJ to probably play catch up here into the end of the year, leading into the elections. It's a good seasonality effect as well, so it's looking great. But then I would expect MJ to run a lot more and gain make up some lost time and lost gains, and then we would probably enter a bear market at some point in 2025 for the broader market, big tech, crypto, essentially, and then that would probably be, I think alt season. Well, I think we're already in alt season. Like Solana went from like $8 to $200 some dollars. You're starting to see real big moves now. I think that Bitcoin's probably going to see one more final move, maybe to 80, a little north of 100K, and then on its retracement, we should start to see Ethereum. Like I said, a spot ETF for Ethereum could be approved here in first, second week of July, and then it'll get pretty nutty, and then money will rotate out of Bitcoin and Ethereum into altcoins, and then we'll see full-blown alt season. But I think the signs are already there that we're starting to see alt season kind of start to peek its head. But as of right now, we're not in full-fledged alt season. So I think MJ, what would probably happen is it would recover. We'd see a pretty decent move into the end of the year, but then if the whole sector, or if the whole broader market starts to enter a bear market and big tech, crypto, AI, that type of thing, MJ is probably going to get crushed. But hopefully, between now and the end of the year, we can get enough momentum and upside that it would cushion that blow. And then I think MJ would recover a lot quicker, similar to what happened in 2018 whenever they legalized in Canada and crypto entered a bear market. And then I think MJ would go on to be one of the best performing sectors, if not the best performing sector over the next couple of years. Even when companies are profitable, they don't seem to move. Look at Maps, added 6 million plus in cash last year and positive EPS every quarter. Can't even move. Yeah, exactly. It's just dead weights, right? It doesn't matter about fundamentals when the whole sector's down 80, 90 plus percent and is in a bear market. It doesn't matter, right? You could have a catalyst come out, news come out, and it pops 10, 20%, but it's just going to fade it unless the whole sector sees a major momentum shift, right? So let that be a lesson. The next time you're investing in a high growth sector that's very nascent and still, it's kind of hard to, maybe like psilocybin or something like that. And the psychedelic sector might be another lesson, right? Until, we start to see those companies reach, tens of billions of dollars, at least, $500 million or something like that in market cap. You're not gonna see anything like decouple. Everything's gonna trade together, right? And actually, MJ and psychedelics trade similarly, right? Like they're pretty much the same. They have the same kind of boom and bust cycles, but at the end of the day, it happened in crypto. It happened in the .com days with big tech, right? It didn't matter if Amazon was doing well in a day and then everything else was tanking over the next 6 months. Amazon would follow them, right? It didn't matter. It was the sector moves together, not down to the day, the second, the minute. But overall, if you zoom out to the monthly, when in doubt, zoom out. Look at the monthly. I would argue to look at the yearly charts and the 12-month candles, and then that will tell you the direction, right? Shorts are killing these stocks. Yep, it's a short paradise for sure. So eventually they'll get squeezed and there'll be no going back. And then you'll see bulls continue to, you'll see a bull market probably 2-3 years. There'll definitely be pullbacks along the way, but overall, it should be a nice upward trajectory for a couple of years, and then it'll go short again, right? It's just boom and bust cycles. So knowing what an uptrend and a downtrend are, knowing how to identify boom and busts and bear cycles and bull cycles, that, in my opinion, is the best thing that you can learn. And I actually teach it on my website. So if you go to powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com, I actually had quite a few people signing up for the course lately. So I discuss what that is and knowing what an uptrend is, what a downtrend is. And I even have like an interactive quiz where you can learn and go through it interactively, which if you're anything like me, I'm a very visual learner, and I can't just really like listen to a video or read something. I have to like apply it on the chart myself, and then it quizzes you, right? You go through a bunch of different scenarios, and then it gives you the possible answers, and you pick which one it is, right? So that you start to, because it's one thing to learn something and think but unless you have somebody there telling you, is it right? You might have the perception that it's right. Like I thought for like a whole year and a half that I knew what an uptrend was. It's like higher lows and higher highs and lower highs and lower lows was a downtrend. I thought I knew exactly what it was. And then after like a year and a half, I was like, oh my God, like what I thought was correct was like not even close. Right? So that's why I created Pow Group, was so that, you can bounce ideas off of people or, look at different things and then think you understand and then just kind of get some reassurance, right? I can't tell you how many times in the Pow Group community, someone's like, oh, there's an uptrend on this stock. I'm like, nope, there's definitely not. And they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? How come? And I'm like, well, there's no higher low and higher high yet. He's like, oh, I confused it with a bounce. What bouncing means on a chart just means we're breaking the high of the previous candle. And he's like, oh, okay, I thought that was an uptrend. I'm like, nope, higher low and higher high, right? But he wouldn't have known that. To him, that was an uptrend. So again, the benefit of being in a group or having somebody that you can bounce ideas and get reassurance from. Yes, you answered it. Thank you. Excellent explanation. Best MJ channel. Thank you very much, Easy Boy. I appreciate that very much. It goes both ways, my friend. Appreciate you joining the stream. I really appreciate it. Is it good time to sell some puts? Potentially, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not like a real big options fan, but you could do the wheel strategy, whatever you want to do. But I know some people in the Pow Group community do options. Might not be a bad idea to buy some calls as well, long dated calls into the end of the year with the elections on MJ as well. That's something that we were looking at as a group internally to Pow Group community as well. So we're just looking at a few different strikes and things like that to see what we can come up with. But I wouldn't be opposed to maybe doing a YOLO position and fully prepared to lose it all. But if it hits, it hits. Should be a good one. I've actually been receiving dividends from YOLO for the past 4 years. Awesome. Yeah, one of the best performing ETFs to date. If you have time, could you please, but congratulations on that. If you have time, could you please look at SNDL technicals? Yeah, we can do the quick peek at that. So yeah, monthly consolidation underway, monthly uptrend, low, high, higher, low, and higher, high. So next support is all the way down at 130. We're sitting at the low here at 189. So again, similar to what I just did for OGI. Was that OGI? No, ACV. We can just take our fib retracement. So we're right in that golden pocket now between the 0.618 and the 0.786. So we have the 0.786 there at 166. So that should be a nice area to target in my opinion. Again, there's tons of bear flags in the sector. MSOS bear flag reach, but still showing a lot of bearish signals. Tilray bear flag down to 155. So what does that tell us about other names? Probably some weakness going to be there, right? So now, might there even be a bear flag on SNDL based on everything that I just said? Let's see. I didn't draw it yet, but I have a hunch that there's going to be one. And ta-da, bear flag. So again, I didn't even know. I didn't even have to look at the chart. And I was like, oh, watch, bear flag. Because I already know. I'm looking at tons of other charts that already have bear flags. And it's the same sector, and they're all leaders, right? So it's saying 185, and we hit 191. Or sorry, 189. And 185. So yeah, we're pretty much target reached. Not yet daily oversold, though. So again, could see maybe even an overshoot. Sometimes we undershoot, sometimes we overshoot. And we're not daily oversold yet. So yeah, I'm thinking we could potentially end up around 175, 160. Test that 0.786 fib retracement. And then let's see what Confluence is saying. What is all our other stuff saying? Yeah, weekly's MACD and stochastic bear cross lost the 10-week moving average. We've got there you go. 50 weekly at 170. So a lot of support. That's exactly what I was thinking, right? Didn't even know that. But again, experience. Comes with experience. And the 200-day moving average at 173. So 173, 170, bear flag target 185. So yeah, 185, 170 should be the bottom, I would think. Not yet daily oversold. So yeah, I really hope people are understanding this and benefiting from this, because like I said, there's tons of people who are like, oh, technical analysis doesn't matter. Why are you even using it? It's MJ. It's the most manipulated, but still works. And, basically it's not a guarantee. But I would say it's probably an 80 to 90% probability that we're going to see another leg or two down. So wouldn't you rather know that versus not knowing that? Like, why wouldn't you? It's like, to me, the stupidest thing ever. Like, why would you not want to know that? It's like going into a mall and like, would you rather know that things are on sale, or would you rather not? Like, yeah. And then you're like, when's this sale on until, or maybe the store is going out of business. And they're going to have really good sales on, right? Like, it's a weird analogy, I know, but, first thing that came to my head, but, like, it's very true. Like, the only place in the world where people don't like a sale and lower prices is the stock market, right? For whatever reason. Hopefully that helps. Could you check Gary Network, Gary USD? Okay, so it's a crypto, Gary USD. I've never heard of that. Kraken. Yeah, I'd be cautious on this one. Just on the daily time frame, looks a little sketch. Monthly time frame could be one big monthly inverse head and shoulders here. And if that were the case, could be heading up to around 62 cents, which the previous high was 84. So yeah, we get above 11 cents, we could be heading up. We could see tons of gains on this thing. But yeah, monthly downtrend, lower high, lower low, not what you want to see. Another lower high and lower low. A lot of names are in monthly uptrends. This is in a downtrend. So that's a pretty big red flag for me. Weekly downtrend as well. Daily time frame. Yeah, he like in a day it pulled back like 50%. So not a whole lot of volume on this one either. I'd be cautious. All right, gonna wrap it up. Puff puff pass. Thanks, Big Spark. Disclosure. Skibby. Get Hayes. Euronav is not an MJ company, but passive income every quarter, and agree on Entourage Health. But check the last earnings; it might turn around. It's a high risk. It's a high risk. True. Yeah. So you just got to be careful, right? Especially when you're down 80, 90%, like across the whole sector. Like there's tons of tier one quality companies in MJ that are down 80, 90% from their 52-week highs or all-time highs. So to me, like focusing on those lower ones right now would be like risk squared. It's like risk times 1,000. So, for me, the way I would play it is if you're looking at some of those lower tier names, like very micro cap, small cap, the way I would play it is focus on the tier ones. And then once the tier ones run, then start to take those profits, lock in some profit, and then rotate them into the smaller names. Because generally it's the big ones that run first, tier twos, tier threes, then your smaller cap, right? Micro caps. Good info and honest. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's pretty much my whole MO on the channels. I tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, and I try to be as genuine and honest as possible. And I try to get into the not so easy conversations as well, right? Getting into the comfort zone. Like I think I see tons of interviews and things like that where people are jumping on a stream and they're seeing an interview with a company and they're just like, oh, we want to hear all the good stuff, and it's like only talk about the positive. It's like, well, we kind of have to see both sides of the coin as well, and think outside the box, think of the future, not get caught up in the here and now, right? Look at where we are. We're so early, right? Where are we in the adoption curve? Where are we in the boom and bust cycles? Like, so much to factor in, and that's one of the things that I think that I'm the best at, like, in my trading and investing career, is thinking like a market maker, right? Thinking like a corrupt, no, just kidding. But thinking like a market maker, like what would I do if I were a big splashy whale, right? What would I do if I was a hedge fund with billions of dollars? That's what I try to do the most of, is put myself in their shoes and basically how are they going to screw us? Because that's what they do day in, day out, right? And you see that comment that they said about GME and GameStop. Basically, he's a disgrace to the whole capital markets. It's like, okay, well, market makers have been, a disgrace to the financial markets since financial markets began. So they just don't like it when they get a taste of their own medicine, right? The rescheduling will most likely be challenged in court, dragging process 18 to 24 months and beyond. Yeah, I wouldn't listen to that. It's just FUD, right? People are just going on all crazy. So here's what I posted. According to Hauser, the process roadmap could look like this. OMB review up to 90 days. Well, it barely took any time at all. Then public comment period, 30 to 90 days. Okay, well, that happened like pretty much right away. And then there could be an administrative hearing, if granted. That could take several months to a year. DEA review, several months to a year. Final ruling, 30 days after publication. Judicial review, which is what you're talking about, would be 1 to 3 years if challenged. So that would be the final step. We still have to go through all of this. And yeah, we've already seen this be expedited. So we're already just running through this like we're on the, we're in a marathon here, and we're already on the, the last couple miles essentially. So if they pushed it along this quickly, I'm in the camp of thinking that this is probably going to go a lot quicker than most people think. If you remember my interview with Morgan Fox, political director at Normal, he said this could be a multi-year thing. And I'm like, no. Again, if you're like a market maker, think like a market maker. Don't think like a politician or a lobbyist, right? Think like a market maker, and all the signs are there that this is going to happen soon. And then on a political sphere and front, well, if they don't do something, if they don't at least reschedule it, they're toast. Like, they might as well just hand it right over to the other party, because like you're screwed. Like, unless you, I don't know. Like, unless you say, okay, no rescheduling, we're just going to deschedule it and fully legalize it. We're just going to do that, and which would effectively reschedule it anyway, because it would remove it from the Substances Act list. That could happen, but it's either rescheduling or descheduling and full-blown legalization. I think the most likely is rescheduling before the elections, because if it doesn't, like, why? Like, that's the whole reason why they got put there in the first place, right? So, yeah, if they don't, I don't listen to the mainstream media, right? I basically don't even listen to mainstream media. The only thing I look at mainstream media for now is to basically 80 to 90% of the time do the opposite of what they're saying. Right? There's a reason why there's an inverse ETF, Kramer ETF from Mad Money, right? He's news for the masses, not the classes. If you just do the opposite, you'll tend to do better, the majority of the time. If you had 5K now, where are you dumping it today? Great question. So yeah, Big Spark, thanks for your question. Cap, yeah, so basically I'm focusing on altcoins right now. I have the most amount of money. I also have a very large real estate portfolio, and I just bought a second Airbnb. So a lot of my capital has been going into, I still have a big bag of dry powder as well. Like I have a very large cash position, so I can continue to add some crypto, some MJ stocks if they keep dipping. My real estate portfolio is growing. I've got 5 properties now. I've got 2 Airbnbs, which are only for Airbnbs. And that's taking up a lot of my time. And I also have the POW Group community. I have this YouTube channel. I have the POW Group Academy where I do the courses. Like I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm also actively investing and looking at different things and doing these live streams right now. So that's what I'm looking at. But I'm focusing right now in terms of crypto and stocks. My focus right now is alts. So my top picks are XRP, XLM, Algo, Link, Litecoin, HBAR, Filecoin, and there's Flare. There's a couple other ones as well, but I think that's pretty much all of them. So that's what I'm focusing on. That's where I have the most amount of dollars. I have a lot more crypto dollar-wise than I do MJ. But what I'm going to be looking to do is rotate those profits from crypto into more beaten down MJ. But I definitely won't be putting like all of it in or anything like that. Most of it will be going into cash. And then maybe I'll deploy 10 or 20% of those profits into beaten down MJ. And then I'll just be waiting for a crypto bear market, right? 60, 70% correction. And then, so if it were me, I'd probably put most of it in crypto and then kind of do what I just said. And then maybe, put $3,000, $3,500 into crypto and then the rest into MJ stocks. I think that's probably the smart way to do it. Or you could just do half-half based on how beaten down we are on MJ right now. That's probably what I would do, though. Sean says AI and tech crashing would crush MJ or allow it to run. So I mentioned this earlier that it would probably crush MJ temporarily. So if SPY dropped, 5-10% in a week or so, well, MJ is probably going to drop like 20 or 30%. But then the broader market, big tech, AI, all that stuff, crypto would probably enter a multi-year bear market, and it would be like a long drawn out process over a couple of years. And then MJ would get hurt, temporarily and initially, but then it would go on a 2-3 year bull market and probably go the opposite way. That's what I'm looking at. So yes, the answer is yes and no. It would crush MJ temporarily in the short term, but medium to long term, I think MJ would benefit. Thank you, Rod. You rock. Thank you, Jamlosi. You rock as well, my friend. We have Cap saying, if you're talking crypto, most are in a downtrend and volume has been decimated. No. Bitcoin's in an uptrend, monthly uptrend. That's the most important factor. Monthly bull flag looking to confirm. S&P 500 is a monthly bull flag that confirms, so that increases the odds. And the target on Bitcoin is 164K. So, no, I would disagree. A lot of names are in monthly uptrends. We're just seeing a little bit of a summer lull. And like I said, Ethereum spot ETFs could start trading in the first or second week of July. What are your thoughts on Village Farms on the daily? So 2 days. I mentioned it early in the stream, but you might have joined late. But yeah, this is day number 2 with the clock starting. So 28 more days under $1, and it's going to get a NASDAQ listing warning, minimum bid price rule, and then it'll have 180 days to regain compliance, or it's flirting with a reverse split. Not yet daily oversold, so we could see more downside from here. Next support, you're looking at, 75 cents psychological, but let's see if, we don't have any, no daily support all the way down to 58 cents. So just be cautious on this one. And again, everything was daily bear flag, so what do we think? Could there be a bear flag here? Probably the case, right? And ta-da, bear flag. There's a bear flag here, and it's just bear flag city, right? So low, high, move it out to 0.382 fib. And it was saying we were targeting 96. What are we at today? 95. So anybody that tells you that technical analysis doesn't work, they just clearly don't have a clue how to use it. Simple as that. A tradesman doesn't blame the tools. It blames the person using the tools. Just because you don't know how to use the tools doesn't mean they don't work. It's probably you that doesn't work. I love it in IT. One of the sayings we say is, the problem's probably between the computer and the chair. And in case you didn't understand what that was or read between the lines, it's you, man. Can't say that, though. One Harmony is probably the best decentralized sharding chain. I sold all my alts and bought a ton of that. Yeah, I'd be careful. Again, same thing with MJ. There's like thousands and hundreds of thousands of cryptos now, and I think there's like 2 million or something like that on CoinMarketCap. Like there's only going to be like 95% of them are all going to go away and go to zero, right? It's like going to be like big tech, every other industry. There's probably going to be 10 to 20 big ones. Not everybody's, you don't have that many use cases in the world and problems to solve, right? So I know nothing about the coins that you've mentioned, but fundamentally or technically, I never even heard of them before. This is the first time I heard of them. But yeah, I only really play in the top 20, top 30, right? Like, again, I'm not here for like taco gains. I'm not here for, I'm looking 10 years out, 5-10 years out. And I'm looking, like I said, I'm focusing on the big cap coins. If it's not $1 billion market cap, probably not even going to bat an eye at it. But, those smaller caps, yeah, you can make a killing. It's just how many of them do you have to go through and lose money at, some point, maybe even lose all your money and, risk a total loss. And there's, like I said, 2.4 million cryptos. The chances of you finding a unicorn is like finding a needle in a haystack. So, and you're not going to go buy $100 of 2 million coins, right? So it's like that for a reason, right? And, you got different influencers and stuff like that pumping stuff, and then they rug pull you. So just be very, very cautious, right? But I wish you all the best. Jamlosi says consumer staples tend to perform the best in recessions, so I expect MJ to do so in that phase. Yeah, I fully agree with that, 100%. All coins I'm talking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I realize that. Court challenge could come from big tobacco, big pharma, MAD, etc. Yep, the incumbents, right? The ones with the most to lose. But the great thing is big tobacco's investing in LPs. You got Imperial Brands with Oxley, British American Tobacco with Organogram, and Altria with Kronos, and you got big alcohol Constellation Brands with Canopy. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. At the end of the day, if we have to wait another year, 2 years, 3 years, who cares? We waited this long. We're in almost a 4-year brutal bear market. Who cares if we have to wait another even 4 years, right? Who cares? It's only going to be legalized once. Unless you're like not planning on being alive in a year, 2, 3 years, well, what do you get to worry about? Just wait. Massive moon gains coming soon. Hi, Rod. I hope all is great with you. I bought some AYR today. Can you analyze that stock ticker, please? This too shall pass. Hello, all. Yeah, this will be the last one. So I hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for joining the stream. We can take a look at AYR. Definitely, I've added that in my TFSA, my tax-free savings account at the beginning of the year. I might look to add it 1 or 2 more times. We'll see, but we'll chart AYRWF on the OTC. So yeah, again, tons of bear flags in the sector that I've been drawing all stream. So what would we expect before even looking at the chart? Bear flag. What do we have on the chart? Bear flag. Bear flag. It's probably, yeah, there's like a tiny bounce there, but not very much. So we'll go off this pivot point. So here's and then I like log instead of linear. I find it the most accurate. So we would take our low to the high there. So basically, every time you pull up an MJ chart now, expect a daily bear flag, right? Like, look for that. Then you take your low to the high, fib tool, anything under 0.32 fib there at 238 is potential bear flag. And then once we came down and lost support there at 198, that confirmed it, and it's saying we're targeting about 155. And then after confirming it, we hit 177, so we're pretty close, right? We're only 12.5% away. Not yet daily oversold either, so we could see another leg down. Not set up well if the S&P 500 were to see a 4 or 5% correction for a nice weekly high or low either, right? So all these things play a factor. Hopefully that helps. AYRWF on the weekly time frame. Whoops, forgot a letter. SMAT. I mean SMART. AYRWF. Anybody catch that reference? Let's see if anybody can guess where that's from. AYRWF. Yeah. Stochastic MACD bear cross below the 10-week moving average. In terms of the moving averages on the weekly time frame, yeah, we're below all of those as well, and now acting as resistance, so not looking great. Daily time frame. Gearing up for potential death cross. 50 above the 200 crossing, that's a death cross, not a good sign. Golden cross, tons of upside. Death cross, downside. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all if we drop down to around that 150 area USD on the OTC. And then if we just go from our low to the high here, we have the 0.786 there at 137, so that could be the next stop after that. But I think 150 psychological as well should be a nice area. Monthly support 165, 108, 107 double bottom there. So yeah, I'd like to see bulls hold 165 because if not, it's actually going to be in a monthly downtrend with a lower high and lower low. And Head and Shoulders forming here as well. So that wouldn't be good. So I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but it's possible. All right, hopefully that helps. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. I just arrived, so I'm grateful. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining the stream. You were just in the nick of time. Thank you. You bet. I do like your enthusiasm on rescheduling, though. We're all gonna be rich. Yeah, like I'm not here to make like $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Like I'm here for generational wealth, right? It's only gonna ever happen once. And in 10, 20, 30 years from now, imagine looking back and being like, oh my God, I sold for like, 20x gains. Like I invested 1,000, I sold for 20,000. And if I just would have held 10, 20 years, it'd be like 2 million or 3 million, right? Like that's what I'm here for. I'm not here. Like I already got enough money. Like I got 5 properties, 2 Airbnbs. I don't need another $1,000 or $10,000. Like I could care less, especially with the deteriorating purchasing power of our dollars, right? So I'm more focused on long-term assets and wealth generation. I agree, Big Spark. Absolutely. The next stop, hilarious. I'm not scared. Yep. If you're scared, go to church. Just kidding. That's my buddy always used to say. All right. Gonna end it there. Hope everyone has a fantastic evening. Thanks everybody for joining the stream. A little over an hour today. Still got a couple dozen people on the stream. So great turnout. Thanks again for joining us. It's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. And we'll see you again on the next one.